Hello and welcome to the fifth video of the Perun Santis video series. Today I will read the complete fourth Santi, verses 49 to 64, and I will talk about the word, self-governance, and Schiller's Fiesko. And before we begin, I shall raise my glass and say Prost and Skal to Perun. And here we go. And Daryan Rodan Kodarat asked Perun. Rodan Kodarat, of the Daryan kin. Rodan, we have this the word Rod again, root, tribe, and a Rodan is a chieftain over several tribes. So this chieftain, Kodarat, asks Perun, "Tell us, God ever-charming, why many sages give a vow of silence and say that they are aspiring to understand the Vedas. Is there any truth in the vow of silence? Does the sage come in silence to speechless understanding of truth or not?" Perun most wise answered Kodarat, "There is no sense in the vow of silence, because the silent cannot understand ancient Vedas with the heart. And ancient Vedas do not enter his heart. Ancient Vedas are only understood through the living word, and where the word of the Vedas is heard, the hearts begin to understand the greatness of their nature." So I've thought about this for quite a while, and I eventually found some answers in, of course, mythology itself, which is, as Ernst Jünger says, forever returning truth, and in quantum physics. Nikola Tesla, for example, says, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And quantum physics says that matter is not solid, but is really vibration. So if matter is vibration, that would mean that vibration creates matter. And when we think about the spoken word, what that is, these are basically sound waves that we are sending out. So we are sending out vibrations. So speak wisely. And in mythology, in Norse mythology, it says that the earth was created out of the primeval giant Ymir. And Ymir means as much as sound or voice. So you had this giant Ymir, this primeval voice, this primeval sound. And then Odin and his brothers Vili and Ve, they killed this giant, and they created this world here out of his body parts. So when Ymir is the primeval sound or voice, then what they did is they separated Ymir in different tunes and notes. Yeah, and this is what makes up our world. So there you have this vibration, this frequency. And also the Rainbow Bridge, as I talked about in the last video, is also a sound bridge. It consists of the soft vibrations and the strong shivering vibrations. Okay, so, and then it talks about understanding the truth in the heart. Okay, so we have, going back to the united creator god Ra Emcha, we have the same thing. Ra, yeah, stands for the mind, the air, the ether, which is male energy, which is mentality. And yeah, the Mir was the heart, which is matter or earth, which is the female energy, which is compassion. Yeah, and we remember Thor, who represents the mentality of man. He had to surrender to his mother, he had to surrender to earth, he had to surrender to the heart. So the mind had to surrender to the heart in order to be able to protect the heart. Yeah, so this is the purpose of the mind, to protect the heart. Okay, so heart, very important. Yeah, you have the mind. So, okay, so now comes the vibration part. The goal is for the mind to vibrate in the frequency of truth, and for the heart to vibrate in the same frequency of love. And when your mind vibrates in the frequency of truth, and your heart vibrates in the frequency of love, you are in sync, you are in tune with the God frequency. Yeah, and that's what it's all about. And when you're vibrating in the same frequency as God, then who are you? So, yeah. So when you vibrate in these frequencies, yeah, then you have truly understood the Vedas. You are the Vedas. You are the living Vedas. Yeah, the Vedas are a living thing. So, and then when you speak the Vedas, when you speak truth and you speak love, and you're sending out these sound waves and these vibrations, they will enter the hearts of people and they will understand. On a very deep heart level. Yeah, that's why it's so important to be, sending out these vibrations into this world which is made up of vibrations. So, the Vedas mean to be in sync with love and truth, to love truth, to love God, to love creation, and to be love. And when you are love, what are you? Okay, so do the vibrations that you send out into the world matter? Yes, they do. There is an experiment. I talked about this experiment in the when I did the series in German. I talked about this experiment. I don't even remember where I heard about this or read about this, but I talked about this. And then 2 days later, I go along and I come by this little flea market thingy on the corner, and there were a bunch of boxes all covered up because it was raining. But I looked inside these boxes and I found the book that describes this experiment that I talked about 2 days before. And this is the book that I found. And it's called Water Crystals by Masaru Emoto, a Japanese guy. On that note, I have my Japanese companion with me again, the Rokujin. So let's just have a drink to the Japanese mind. So, and the experiment that this book talks about, they took 2 glasses of rice. Here you see a little picture of it. This is where they talk about it. So these are the 2 jars of cooked rice. And what they did this over many weeks. It was quite a long-term experiment. So they had this one jar with cooked rice in water. They put it in one room. And this other jar with the cooked rice and water, put it in a different room. And every day, the same person would go into each room, and they would go to this one room and say to this one glass, I love you. Yeah, of course, with the intent always have to match the words. When you're thinking I hate you, but you say I love you, then it's not going to work. So intent and word and everything has to be in sync. So anyway, so one glass was being told I love you, and the other glass was being told I hate you. Every day over many weeks, and then you saw the picture. Let me see. You see what happened. This one glass that was being told that it's hated turned black, and the other glass that was being told that it was loved. There the rice, what is it called? Fermented? Is that an English word? So anyway, this rice didn't go foul. It actually kind of started working. So, apparently, your words matter. They create matter. They create vibrations. And then, what else I found in this book, I want to show you real quick, because the book is called Water Crystals. And another experiment they did, they took water, and they placed this water, this can of water, whatever, between 2 speakers, and they played music to the water. So, and this is what happened. The upper 2 pictures you're going to see are a song by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and the other one is by some, what is that? Some other song. I think it's a Japanese guy again. Okay, so here. Can you see? So this one here, this is the Mozart. And this is some Japanese song. Yeah, so this, oh yeah, so anyway, so they played the music to the water and then they froze it, and then this is what they saw under the microscope. These are the water crystals. And then this is what a water crystal looks like after it has been listening to heavy metal music. So on the bottom there. So, yeah. So much to sound waves and vibration and its impact on matter, and eventually its impact on our reality and our world. So be in sync with truth and love. Of course, to get there you have to do the work. Once you get there, you are in sync with the God's frequency, and then you can transport that frequency into the world. Okay, so let's go on. Verse 51. Many people think that those who know all the Vedas are sinless, even when committing evil. But neither hymns of wisdom from the knowledge of the worlds, nor songs of wisdom from the world of radiances, nor spells from the wisdom of life will save those who commit evil deeds. And everyone will be charged responsible for his own lawlessness. So just to know is not enough. You have to do the work. The wisdom from the knowledge of the worlds, the wisdom from the world of radiances, and the wisdom of life. These are 3 more books of the Vedas. Yeah, like the Perun Santis are only a small part. There's many more. Verse 52. Sacred hymns and songs will not save those from falsehood who are easily deceived, who stay in the world of charms and self-illusions. As birds leave the nest when their wings have grown, so do sacred songs leave the human when the time has come. The Vedas will not save those who do not fulfill their duty of life. They show you 2 ways: selfless devotion and bloodless sacrifices. Yeah, the selfless devotion to creation. That is love. Through them, the knowing man achieves purity, and with this purity he keeps off sin, self-illuminated with the knowledge of the Vedas. So this is also then the answer to Odin's question, who asked how should he, who knows about the Vedas, deal with it. That's how you should deal with it. You have to fulfill the duties of life. And part of that is to protect the heart. With the knowledge of the ancient Vedas, the soul of the knowledgeable approaches the world of Pravi. But if he desires the common fruits of the world Yavi, he takes with him everything that he has done here, and having enjoyed all fruits of his deeds in the world of Navi, he bears responsibility for his every deed and again follows the path predestined by great Ra-Emcha. So this is basically talking about the last judgment and the looping. Yeah? So you might know about the Vedas, but you choose not to work according to the Vedas. And you choose to enjoy the fruits of your earthly deeds. And these fruits are being enjoyed in the world Navi. Yeah, we talked about this also. The world of darkness is this looping between Yavi and Navi. Yeah, when you're not waking up, you stay in the darkness and you loop and loop. Yeah, and that's what you're going to do then. Yeah, so you bear responsibility for your every deed. Yeah, you own up to what you did or didn't do. Yeah, you pay for it or whatever, however that's, going to take place. Yeah, and then you follow again the path. You go back into the loop. Some people like the looping, actually. Okay, so verse 55. Let's have a little toast to, what am I going to toast to now? Let's toast to the great Ra-Emcha. Who has laid out all of this so nicely. Okay, verse 55. 5.5. Selfless devotions are being performed by human children in the world of Yavi. And the fruits of all deeds are eaten in the world of Navi. Yeah, what I just said. The great worlds are oriented towards the kings, sages, and holy priests who dedicate themselves to selfless devotion. Oriented, this actually means originally to eastward. To be oriented is to be facing eastward, and what's in the east? The sunrise. Sinless, selfless devotion is considered as renunciation of evil. Such devotion and self-sacrifice can be successful and unsuccessful. Through devotion, the knowledgeable of ancient Vedas have eventually achieved immortality. Yeah. The knowledgeable, first you have to know, and then you have to do the work. Yeah. Through devotion, they achieve immortality. But there is also a sinful devotion. Those amongst humans who are obsessed with unrighteous anger. Yes, so when you're devoted to those feelings. I'm angry. I feel insulted. Okay, so who are obsessed with unrighteous anger and other 16 vices, and also those who violate the commandments of gods and ancestors, especially blood rules. Yeah, like incest, for example. It's the worst you can do. And those who are inhabited by 13 meannesses, they are sinful. But those who have clean soul and light spirit, and live according to covenants of their forefathers, are sinless. So we will find out now what these 16 vices are. Unfortunately, it does not give you any concrete answers as to what these 13 meannesses are. Yeah, but the number 13 is pretty interesting. So, verse 57. Okay, these are the 16 vices now, so listen up. Unrighteous anger, lust, greed, delusion, carnality, cruelty, grumble, vainglory, despondency, attraction, envy, aversion, debauchery, desire for another's, oppression, malice. These are the vices of human children. Humans should avoid these 16. Every one of these vices waylays humans, wishing to seize their natures, like a hunter who waylays his prey. So, pray against being prey. The boasting, lustful, arrogant, spiteful, unsteady, and refusing of giving protection are appropriating those sins committed by unlawful people despite their great danger. So these people who are committing these sins are unlawful. So unlawful means to be devoted to your vices. That's unlawful. Yeah. So the unlawful is not following his conscience. It's not following the God-gifted knowledge. So he has lost God and he is separated from God. That's the unlawful. Without God. Verse 59. Chasing pleasures, hostility, boasting about generosity, stinginess, oppression of other people, lying, weak will, glorification of feelings, hate towards the wife. These are the 9 worst enemies of humans. The man's duty is to protect the woman. Observance of commandments, laws of the one God, laws of your kin. Yeah, not laws of the government, laws of your kin. Truthfulness, restraint, selfless devotion, self-denial, modesty, patience, firmness, absence of envy, bloodless sacrifices, continuation of kin, good-heartedness, attentiveness, study of sacred Ra Emcha Inta and ancient Vedas. These are the 16 vows of ministers of faith. So you have the 16 vices, you have the 9 worst enemies of the humans, and now here you have the 16 vows. Who strengthens these 16 vows will distinguish himself on the whole earth. Who observes 3, 2, or just one of them is considered self-affirmed. In the renunciation of vices of the world Yavi, and not in delusion, lies immortality. Wise ministers of faith call them gates of truth. And a funny thing, the word Tor, the word Tor in German means gate. So a Tor is a gate that can lead to Odin's land, to the world of immortality. But a Tor is also a fool. So that's pretty interesting. And Goethe says in his Faust, nun steh ich hier, ich armer Tor, und bin so klug als wie zuvor. This would be the translated one, now here I stand, am still a fool, and no wiser than I was before. Yeah, and these gates of truth into the world of God, of the law, they can only be passed when you're vibrating on these same frequencies. So you cannot cheat yourself in. Okay? There's no way. Okay, verse 62. There are 18 qualities in self-development. And now, listing these 18 qualities that you will gain as you're going this path of self-development, as you're following these vows, yeah, and these commandments. Restraint in action, inactivity, purposefulness, eradication of injustice, judgment, pride, brutish desires, unrighteous anger, despondency, greed, pretense, envy, wickedness, irritability, anxiety, forgetfulness, chatter, arrogance. Now all these things will be eradicated. And here it's very interesting that the word chatter is being included. Yeah, what's chatter? I know these, a lot of women, you know, they chatter, babble. Not only women, men too. So a lot of people, they just talk, you know, they might talk, I don't know, 100 words and not one word is worth anything. Yeah, so they're just chattering. So they're just clogging up the ether with their worthless, stupid chatter. Yeah? You don't want to chatter. You want to speak wisely. Watch your frequency. And then what I found quite interesting, you know, it talks about the restraint in action and inactivity. You know, and people today, they're so busy with everything. Oh, busy bodies, you know, if I'm not doing something, I'm not worthy, you know, I always have to be doing something. So people think doing something is the same as being productive, but it's not. Most things that people do, they might as well not do. It doesn't really make a difference. So anyway, so there's this funny story about René Descartes. René Descartes was a mathematician and philosopher, and he would prefer to stay in bed until noon. So, you know, when a busybody comes along, you think you always have to be active all the time, doing something. You know, like these government workers, they're working and they're doing something. They're making 5 copies of the same thing just to do something, but it's really... Okay, so these people might think, oh, look at him, he's laying in bed until noon, he's not doing anything. Or like, that's what they're saying about Trump too, because Trump said, oh, you know, until, I don't know, 2 o'clock or something, you know, he's just, you know, somewhere making phone calls, reading the paper, watching TV, and people, oh, see, he's not doing anything. He has to study the paper and the news, you know, to know what's going on, and phone calls, of course, you know, he's calling Putin, and he's calling Kim, and he's calling Xi. He can do that laying in bed. He doesn't have to sit on an official desk, you know, to make these phone calls, you know. You can make these phone calls in bed. So anyway, so René Descartes liked to stay in bed until 12 noon. And this is where he would think about his theories. This is where he would get his insights and his ideas. Yeah, and then he would make notes and write down some things, and, you know, so that's what he would do. So, and then he was ordered to come to the to court. You say court? No, I don't know. So anyway, so Queen Christine from Sweden ordered René Descartes, to come to her palace and, live in her palace, so that, she would be the only one benefiting from this genius. I guess, I don't know. So anyway, and of course, there he was forced to get up at 5 o'clock every morning, so that everybody would see he's busy. He's working. So, and what happened? Like 3 weeks later, René died. So that was that. Sorry, Christine. Yeah, so it was just against his nature, yeah, and he wasn't doing it. So he said, F you, I'm going. Okay. Let's have a toast to René. Verse 63. On this way, human has perceived self-development. He becomes sensible and receives 8 qualities: righteousness, ability to think, ability to be happy, ability to investigate, objectivity, honesty, abstinence, and composure. So, on this way, human becomes sensible. This sensibility, this is the one true feeling that truly matters, because this sensibility, this comes from the heart. This is the love. This is the true love for creation. Yeah? Because this love is the selfless devotion to creation. And when you devote yourself and you do the work, then your heart will be filled with that love, and you will feel it. And then when you have it, and you go, for example, and you look at a sunset, and you start getting, clogged up? And your eyes get teary, yeah, because of the sheer beauty of that sunset. That's when you know that your heart is vibrating in the frequency of true love. Yeah? And when you see this beauty that Mother gives you every day, your heart fills up, and that's, and this filling up of your heart with that love, that's what makes it come out of your eyes, because it's just too full. Yeah? Okay. So this sensibility, this feeling in your heart is more than just the feeling. Yeah, these other feelings, I call them false feelings, because they come from the false ego. Yeah, and even people, they think they don't even know what love is. Love is not a romantic thing. Yeah. Okay. 64. Be truthful with your soul and spirit. Worlds are held by truth. Their gates, truth. For it is said that immortality is rooted in truth. Having turned away from vices, it is necessary to act upon vows and commandments. Such conduct, created by the one united God, leads through truth to immortality. Humans keep the sacred writings unchanged. Ra emcha inta and ancient Vedas. Because in the Bible, God also says, I never change. Because truth never changes. Truth was the same 400,000 years ago. It was the same 4,000 years ago, and it is the same today. It's not negotiable. It doesn't change. Okay, so we've been talking about self-development and how knowledge and this work, this self-development, leads to sensibility and self-mastery. Yeah? Your heart will be filled with true love, and you will be the master of your mind. So that means you're vibrating in sync with the frequencies of truth and love. You are truth and you are love. So this self-control is necessary to create responsibly. And I've said this before in another video. And it is also necessary to be able to execute your free will. And this free will can only be put to good use for all by someone who has mastered himself through selfless devotion to creation. And this self-mastery is based on self-governance. Because if you don't govern, so what's govern? So for example, government. Ment is mind. To govern is to control. Government means mind control. So if you don't govern yourself, if you don't control your own mind, somebody else will. And then you lose your free will. So, and now, when it comes to governance of groups like nations, Friedrich Schiller asks the question, what is the best way of government? Friedrich Schiller, who was for 10 years best buddy with Wolfgang Goethe, was born in 1759. He was 10 years younger than Goethe, and he died in 1805. He was only 45, 46, so way too young, fortunately. But it also brought some good things about, because a year later Goethe finally wrote down, finally wrote down the Faust. Yeah. He's been thinking about the Faust for years and years, for decades. And Schiller was the one who always said, my God, Wolfgang, come on, write it down already, just do it. It's, you know. So, and then when Schiller died, it made click, and Wolfgang said, okay, I'm doing it now. So, if he hadn't died at that time, we might have never had the Faust, who knows. Okay, so let's ask Friedrich Schiller now what he thinks about this topic. And the funny thing about it, I translated this little part from his play called The Conspiracy of the Lord Fiesko. And it's about a government coup and turning over of government and whatever. So and this play was censored back then when Schiller wrote it and publicized it. It was censored because at that time we had a monarchy in Germany, and at the end of this play, this Lord Fiesko guy calls out the Republic. So you know, that couldn't be done. That would have confused people. So it was censored then, and it is also censored today. And why it is censored today, you will find out in a minute. Okay, I need my glasses. Okay, so Lord Fiesko of Genova, a Republican tragedy by Friedrich Schiller. Here we go. So the Lord Fiesko is talking to these people, and he's telling them a allegorical story so they will understand better. So he says, Genovesi, once the animal kingdom fell into civil unrest. Parties were fighting against parties, and a butcher's dog usurped the throne. He who used to chase the cattle to slaughter onto the knife, wrote havoc in the kingdom, barked, bit, and gnawed away the bones of his people. The nation grumbled, the most bold came together and strangled the proud bull. Now a parliament is being held to decide on the great question, what form of government might be the best. The voices separated threefold. Genovesi, what would you have voted for? For the people, all for the people. The people won. The government was to be democratic. Every citizen gave his vote. Majority prevailed. Few weeks passed. Thus mankind announced war on the newly baked state. Yeah, he's talking about the animal kingdom. So now mankind declaring war on the animal kingdom. And the nation came together. Horse, lion, tiger, bear, elephant, and rhinoceros arose and loudly roared, to the weapons! Now came the remaining one's turn. Lamb, buck, deer, donkey, the kingdom of the insects, the birds, the whole army of the shy fish. They all stepped in between and whimpered, peace. See, Genovesi, for there were more of the cowardly than of the strident ones. The dumb ones outnumbered the smart. Majority came through, the animals laid down the weapons, and man pillaged their land. Such system of government was discarded. So now you know why it's censored today. Genovesi, what would you be leaning to now? To the Republic, of course, to the Republic. So let's have a toast real quick to democracy. Oh, Schiller. To the Republic, of course, to the Republic. The idea became popular. The affairs of the state were split into several chambers. Wolves took care of the finances, with foxes as their secretaries. Doves led the criminal court, and tigers the civil suits. Goats settled marriage cases. Soldiers were the rabbits. Lions and elephants stayed home with the family. The donkey was the messenger of the state. And the mole was head supervisor over the office's administration. Genovesi, what are your hopes in this wise distribution? Who wasn't ripped off by the wolf was being cheated by the fox. Who had escaped him was muddled down by the donkey. Tigers strangled the innocents. Thieves and murderers were pardoned by the dove. And in the end, when services were resigned, the mole found them all to be blamelessly administered. Nothing wrong here. The animals became outraged. Let us choose a monarch, they called united, who has paws and brains and only one stomach. And all worshipped one. It was the lion. So, if you don't want to be governed by these, the only thing that's left is to govern yourself. Yeah, on that note, I shall end this video. I raise my glass to Friedrich Schiller. and self-governance. Prost. Thank you for watching, and I see you next time.